Hey, I haven't seen many videos showing Windows 11 running audio applications and whether or not it affects performance negatively or not. So, seeing as my system's dual booting into macOS, Mojave, and Windows 10 currently, I thought I'm not reliant on my Windows 10 installation, so I can update it to Windows 11 and see whether or not the DAW software and plugins and stuff are all working okay. My main DAW is Cubase 11, so I'll be interested to see how that's running. I also have Studio One 5 installed on this machine as well, and other stuff like Isotope RX and Ozone 9. So yeah, I'm going to perform the update here. Hopefully it doesn't do anything crazy. My system's fully compatible. It's an i7 8700 and 32 gigabytes of RAM. So yeah, let's go for it and see what happens. I'll speed up this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to stop this because it's got to the last sort of 25% and it's really slowed down to a crawl. So I'll start the video again once this process is finished and show you the restart. Expect the whole process to take probably about half an hour to do the install at this rate. It's been 18 minutes so far, so back in a bit. Okay, so it took a little bit longer than expected for the installation to complete, but it sort of seemed to jump from 90% to 100% there. I was just watching a bit of YouTube in the background while it finished. It's at the restart, so this is going to be the installation stage, or the completion of the installation. What I would say to people is that I have done previously. I did it last night. I did a full image backup of Windows 10, so in case something bad happens, I can be back up and running with the Windows recovery, like boot USB loader. So yeah, if you're going to do this, definitely have a backup plan and be able to restore to fully working OS if you need to. So let's try the restart and see what happens. Hopefully nothing catastrophic. Okay, so first impressions, Apollo UA console is working fine. The Apollo connected fine, so the Thunderbolt driver is all working fine. All right, I had to close down the SoundID app because I noticed that it wasn't actually loading up. So I'll load it up again after closing it. It seems like the output has disappeared. So I'll have to add an output. I'll add a SIO, Universal Audio Thunderbolt, virtual SIO to a SIO driver, add output, calibration file, and that seems to be working. It's being a little bit weird there. You can see that one speaker was slightly louder than the other, but when I turned dry wet down and back up again, it corrected itself. That seems to be a problem with SoundID Reference. I've had that before, so I don't think that's Windows 11. Let's load up Cubase 11, see what happens. This is Cubase 11.0.4. I've got a custom rule set on my software firewall, so basically it's going to throw up a bunch of permissions. So it's asking me for the driver again. Let's try and load up the project that I was working on yesterday. Everything's got rounded edges now. Not 100% sold on the taskbar and the start menu just yet, but as long as I can pin my most used apps to the top here, then cool. But it seems smooth enough so far. Seems like Cubase has gone back to its default settings in terms of like the MIDI options was hidden there. Let's see. Okay, so the drums are missing from that track, which means that BFD has disabled itself because it's seeing this as a new operating system. So that's something that I'm going to have to sort out. But Cubase seems to be working okay. So BFD License Manager, I'm going to have to update. So let's try, I'll just try loading up Cubase again now that BFD's been reauthorized. I reckon some of the machine-based authorizations that I have are going to have to be reauthorized again. But I guess that's to be expected. Slate VSX working fine. Let's see. Gullfoss working fine. Slate Virtual Mix Rack working fine. Let's see if we can get a mix bus. Yeah, that's working fine. One that I might be concerned about here are some wave stuff. So let's try some waves plugins, see what happens. Where's Abbey Road? Are they under mastering? All right. No, even the Abbey Road stuff that's still running on version 8 or 9, I can't remember, but it seems to be working okay. Okay, so yeah, so far so good in terms of compatibility. Let's try something else that is machine based. So all good. All good. Any of the plugin alliance stuff. It's activated on a USB, so they're loading up okay. Let's try Smart EQ. I think it's activated on an iLock, but it's okay. Meterplugs Dynameter, I think, is machine-based authorization, so, but it seems to be working okay too. So only certain things. Let's see about contact and those type of things. Sometimes they need updated. No, contact's working fine. Let's get rid of that and try east-west play. And let's load up an instrument just to try it out. Let's see. Let's try Voxengo for full range 88 keys dynamic. Loading off an SSD, nice and fast. Nothing crazy, all working fine. Let's try SSD sampler. Steven Slate drums. Try loading up a kit here. Let's go for Blackbird kit. Oh, kits. Blackbird 2. All working as expected. Let's try some. There's 2 synth. Missing all the presets. Under. Oh, right. Well, now I've got the presets. Interesting. Okay, all seems to be working fine too. It seems responsive enough. No visual keyboard on that one, but it's loading up. I see massive. Also no visual keyboard, but it's loading up fine. Mystic, loading up fine. Prologue, working fine. BFT3 is now working fine. Battery 4. Yeah, so everything so far seems to be working as expected. I'll do a quick test here in native access. So yeah, everything is authorized. A few different things, like contact here says it needs repaired, but I wonder, is that might be because Windows 11 doesn't support it anymore. A few updates to do, which I will do in a bit. Let's try Studio One 5. So I'm just loading up the last mastering project that I was working on. And see, the UAD plugins seem to be working fine. Soothe 2, working fine. Ozone 9, working fine. I gotta say, I think that the responsiveness of the actual OS in terms of the graphical user interface, there's something slightly different about it. It's a bit smoother, a bit snappier. It could be that Windows 11's taking advantage of the multi-core CPU and the graphics card a bit better than before, but definitely I like the feel of it. No issues so far. Try Ozone standalone, even though I don't tend to use Ozone standalone too much these days, but even it's working fine. sometimes it could be a bit finicky with third-party plugins. So I'll try loading a plugin here and see if it dies. Yeah, it's fine. No issues. Okay, yeah. So it's all working fine. Yeah, so far, so good. I'll have to do a bit more testing and maybe do an update video on this after a week or two, but first impressions, it's working great. It's actually feels a bit better than Windows 10. The start menu, the difference here, I don't know, I'm finding that maybe isn't great. Like if I can put my most used apps at the top here, I quite liked in Windows 10 that you were able to create little groups and label them in Windows 10, which isn't there anymore. And that kind of, I don't know, it's not great, but I guess I'll get used to it. So just as a final part of this video, I thought it'd be interesting to load up a fully mixed project that's quite heavy. It's nearing the end of the sort of performance meter on Cubase. I think that it was actually more intensive in Windows 10 than it is on Windows 11. So that's interesting. And actually, I think maybe, okay, so the sample buffer is lower. It's at 100, it was at 1024. Now it's at 256. So if I increase it to 1024, that's sort of seems a little bit more actually. So, okay, maybe it's about the same. So I'll just let you hear what it's like in playback. So yeah, it's playing back fine. All the plugins are playing back fine. Doesn't seem to be any stability issues. And yeah, generally quite like Windows 11 so far. One thing that I'm not that fussed on is the new start menu. I quite like the old version in Windows 10 where you could group things together, so I could have a group and it would be, audio programs and then video editing programs and license managers and all that kind of stuff. But now it's all just grouped. Also, if I go into the File Explorer and go to like pin my computer, it says it's pinned, but it's not here. I don't understand what that's about. And the other thing, if I go to Control Panel and if I say Control Panel, it says here that it's pinned, but if I go back to there, it's not there. So I don't understand that. So I like having my computer rather than File Explorer. It's just a personal thing. So I don't understand why they're doing that. So there are little things that are a little bit different and kind of annoying. I would like to have sort of settings that I want quick access to just here, but I guess I will work around it. This as well, had like sort of recent files on it. When I first sort of put it up the OS, could have some privacy implications, especially if you're screen capturing or doing stuff like that. If you don't want personal information being shown on screen, then that's something that you can disable through let's see, settings and personalization and start, and then disable show recently opened items in start, jump lists, and File Explorer. So that's probably something you're going to want to disable if you value privacy, especially if you're doing any kind of streaming that involves your desktop or anything like that. So yeah, there's still some strange things that they've done here, particularly with the start menu. Reminds me in some ways of the way that they change things in Windows 8. It's nowhere near as bad as Windows 8, but definitely there are a few quirks there that need worked out. A bit more flexibility and being able to increase the size of this like you could in Windows 10 and then add sections for, categorizations of different apps would be handy to have for sure. So hopefully that has shown people how Windows 11 is working and how Cubase, at least, and Studio 1.5 are working in Windows 11. Doesn't seem to be any problems with any plugins. In fact, if anything, it sort of feels a bit more responsive. Things are loading up just slightly quicker and in a more, I don't know, just seems everything seems to be running just a little bit more smoothly. So yeah, cool. Hopefully people have found that insightful, and yeah, maybe give them a bit of peace of mind about upgrading to Windows 11. It seems to be working fine so far. I'll keep you updated. Cheers.